Morning Grizzlies, just on my way to the business down at Copper Bar, Swansea. Bit fresh today. Winter's on its way, I think. So just walking down the Copper, and he is. I thought I'd give you a little update on what's been going on the last few weeks. The lefties are coming for me. I mean, they've been coming for me for a while. Ever since certain people drink in my bar that they don't like, so therefore I'm guilty by association. Got a little story about that, which we'll get into in a bit. And there's a few other things happened since my appearance on GB News and some other videos regarding immigration, hot topic. I thought I'd give you a little update on what's blown up in the last few weeks since I went on GB News and posted that video that went viral. I think it's up to 187,000 views now. Had the interview, got about 5,000 new followers on X, and I had a message from James English, which stunned me because a few years ago I started watching his stuff when he did his homeless documentary. I'd done something similar with my tramp face missions, although his was quite serious and we just got on the piss for a week without going home for 7 days. And I've been watching his videos while I was in Norway with the Royal Marines a few years back. Not a lot of running outdoors you can do when you are on camp. So I was on the treadmill, the dreadmill, just watching his videos on the tablet. And this year I've started doing the YouTube videos. If you have recently got involved and you haven't caught up on the legacy ones from earlier this year, say legacy as if it was like 10 years ago or something. There's some crackers on there. My trips to Porto, well, my life in Swansea, trips to Porto, Brazil, America, Miami, Panama City Beach, Georgia, New York City, Thailand to come. It's not up yet. And I thought, well, I've got all the books as well. I got a few interesting stories from my adventures over the years. I thought, right, this year, I've been on a couple of podcasts before, local ones, and thought this year, let's try and get on a few again. Exposure for the channel and the books again, recording the audiobook. So I've been doing that every morning, getting up early, recording that. So getting ready to launch that, let's start getting a bit more exposure and start getting out and talking shit and telling stories. And I identified James. I thought he's pretty big. Well, he's really big. He's getting celebrities on there, well-known people. And even though my stories are really interesting, you still got to be fairly well-known, haven't you? I'm just going to take any old geezer who thinks he's got a good story. Copper! Come on, this way. So thoughts are, we'll get on some podcasts, start building up the channel, and then, I don't know, maybe in a year, 2 years time, we could crack a big one like James English. And lo and behold, sent me a message. So I was like, that is brilliant, unexpected, but amazing. So asked me to go up to London to the studio, 100%. So a few days later, jumped on the train, went up. Was due to do one with Liam Tufts as well. Give a shout out to my boys Dan and Stan from Voice of Wales, who actually got the contact for me to get the GB News interview, and then Liam got in touch with them to get hold of me, you Swansea boys. So shout out to them. So I was meant to go into Liam the morning of the afternoon I was on with James, but he got COVID. He's giving him some stick for that. Man flu, COVID, whatever it was. So we had to postpone that. So that one will be coming soon, hopefully. But the James English one went out yesterday, doing really well. A lot of great feedback. He messaged me saying it was number 4 in the UK podcast charts. That's a blinding start for that one. Also got to meet Carlton Leach while it was in with James English, which was brilliant. He just sort of bowled in towards the end of my interview and interrupted it, if you like. And then we had a chat afterwards. What a great geezer he was. Yeah, just straight in chatting to me about his mate who was in the Marines, telling me a few stories. We had a photo. He's got a new book out, so definitely check that out. Amazing story. When you meet them, you never quite know who these well-known people are going to be like. And brilliant, really down to earth, really funny and really engaging. So I really enjoyed that. Also been invited on a podcast in San Diego. Now this isn't a jump on the train, go to London type affair. And most people would be thanks, but no thanks. Probably starting to gather that I'm not most people. That ain't me bigging myself up, because that means in a lot of ways I'm an idiot. But my life in general isn't like most people is what I mean. Don't have like a 9 to 5 or a contracted stable job with certain amounts of time off, and not a family at home in Swansea that I have to go home to and keep happy. And also I have got a family, a young daughter in USA who I travel to see 4 times a year, and I'm planning to travel to see next month. So of course I'm like, well, yeah, she don't live out in California. It's in between San Diego and Los Angeles, California. She doesn't live out there, but if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly. So the plan is to go out there first for a weekend, not just going out there for the podcast. Of course, I've started the channel now, nicknamed the Lone Wolf over all the years. Traveling is in me anyway, so any excuse to go somewhere is grasped. The fact that there's a podcast there as well, I could tick that off, because I've never been out to Southern California. I've been to San Francisco. So I've been looking at flights this week. There's one for about £8 one way with North Atlantic. Flown with them before. Pretty good rates. No luggage, which is fine. I only go hand luggage anyway, with a stopover in Vegas. Now, I don't like stopovers, especially on long flights like that, because it just prolongs it. You sat around in the airport. However, there's a few with like a 5-hour wait, which isn't really ideal. And I found one with an 18-hour wait. So you've got to leave the airport, a self-transfer, and then check back in as if you were just turning up for the first time. That 18 hours happens to be overnight. I've never been to Vegas. Never really fancied it because of the gambling thing. Oh, I know it isn't just for gambling, but that is in what it's known for. So it's always been like, yeah, I do fancy it. It ain't the top of the list, like I said with Miami, and then look how that turned out. So I'm like, well, this could be interesting. Little stop over in Vegas, so I get the camera out, do a bit of lone wolfing around there, see what's going on. So I'll look forward to that one. That is on the verge of getting booked. And that could be a really good opportunity for me to get into the US side of it. Because like I say, most people who are in that circle in the UK, they can't be going to the US just for a podcast. They ain't got the money, they ain't got the time or the resources. The fact I'm going out there anyway, and I've got a lot of friends out there, a lot of contacts, not just from the Marines, from travelling out there for years. So I can stay in a lot of places. There's some great friends in New York. So this could be a catalyst to get on that one and hopefully don't sound too much like a bell end. A few people like it, and then, I mean, that's it. I struggle to find contacts for people on podcasts. I always struggle to find how to get in touch with them. So the trick is getting on podcasts, isn't it? Because they're all in the same circles, they all seeing the same guests. And as soon as they start seeing you on other ones, go, oh, well, who's this geezer? Which James English has told me. He told me after we did the interview, be prepared, he said, because a lot of the sort of feeder podcasts, if you like, are going to see this now, and usually when they get to James English, they've worked their way up to him. So of course all these people now are going to be watching his one going, well, where's this geezer come from? Right, let's give him a shout. So I'm assuming that's going to happen. He said that, and he knows his onions, so I'm sure that will happen now. So that's what's going to happen on the UK side. Copper, come on. Person scared of him. And hopefully we can start making some ground in the US as well then. Joe Rogan next. You heard it here first. So the Lefties are coming. They've been coming for me for a while. They've had it in for me for a while. But of course now appearing on GB News, which I hadn't actually watched before I was on there. I knew of it, of course. I watch a bit of Talk TV, which I think they're affiliated. Well, that's the thing. They haven't seen that interview. They wouldn't even have listened to it. They'll have seen that I'm on GB News. I'm talking about immigration, which doesn't suit their agenda and narrative. Guess what? He's uber right-wing. He's a racist, fascist and bigot and all the other ones they throw around when people don't agree with them, which I don't care. So it all started a couple of years ago where Dan and Stan had come in for a drink at my bar. I didn't know about their podcast or their journalism at the time. Stan used to be in the RAF and knew Royal Marine owned the bar. So he came in just to say hello and have a few drinks. They never like talk politics or preach. We'd talk politics, but never go in and preach or do anything like that. It was just two guys having a pint. So there'd been a protest that day and the usual suspects had walked in. 3 middle-aged ladies, your typical hemp bead, purple and pink knitted scarves, your scruffy socialist types. They'd come straight to the bar and they wanted to speak to the manager. Now, I was the manager, janitor, accountant, chef, security, everything. So I was like, yeah, what's up? They said, just like to inform you that 2 members of Voice of Wales are on your decking. So I was like, all right, is there an issue? Yeah, there's 2 members of Voice of Wales on your decking. I was like, all right, are they causing problems? Are they harassing you or someone? And the baffling thing about this was, these 3 ladies weren't even customers in my bar. The level of ego to think that you can just walk into a business that you're not a patron of, you don't support, you're not a customer, and start demanding things from them, bullying them. It's baffling. And the scary thing is, they've done it in other bars. And that's the thing. And fucking shame on those other bars that have bowed to that. Just bullying. Fascism, in fact. They tried to get me to kick him out. I was like, well, if they're not causing a problem, ladies, I don't know what the issue is. So you see, they were stunned by this, stunned that I didn't react to it and I didn't bow to their demands straight away. Oh, I'm so sorry that I allowed them in. I will do your deeds. I will bow to your command. So you could see that they needed a different angle because I weren't getting it. So then one of them just pitched over the shoulder and went, do you know Donald Trump? I swear to God she said that to me. I went, Not personally, but yeah, I've heard of him. They're like him. They're like Donald Trump. I was like, all right. And again, it was just this baffled them that I hadn't reacted. And oh my God, they're like Donald Trump, get him out. So they had to step it up a notch. And this was a corker. Do you know the Ku Klux Klan? I said, again, not personally, but yeah, I have heard of the Ku Klux Klan. They're worse than them. They're worse. They're fucking worse than the Ku Klux Klan. At this point, I'm like, what are these lot on? I said, I really don't know what you want me to do, ladies. They're not causing a problem. There's no issue. And then I went, can I get you something though? You know what I mean? Clearly showing them that you're not even customers. So why should I take you seriously? And at that point, they were like, no. And left with their tail between their legs. And as they walked out, obviously the lads would just like raise their pints at them. Because when I went to talk to the lads, they were like, oh, did they just try and get us kicked out? I said, yeah. They went, oh, they've done it in all the other bars. And as they walked in, they winked at us as if to say, enjoy your pints while you can, lads. We're going to get you kicked out. So then as they were going, sort of raising their pints to them. But absolutely pathetic, and not only pathetic, dangerous. That people believe, they honestly believed that they could walk in there and impose their wishes and demands on me. Well, that's the world they're living in. They're just so blind and clouded by this world that they think is uber right and completely marginalised, and everyone else is on the wrong side. But they will bow to what we say because we are right. Yeah, so that's how it all started with my little run-in with the loony left in Swansea. And it went on from there, snide reviews online, and not even about like the service of the business. Like, oh, he's letting people drink in there that we don't like. That was the essence of it. Like, that isn't even a review. And I like to think most people just see through that. But also, that's the opposite of what you're preaching. Because you're calling me a bigot and a fascist and all the rest of it. Well, that's what? For allowing anyone to come into my bar that follows the rules and the law and behaves themselves. Well, that's the opposite of what you're accusing me of. It's a completely free society in there. As long as you come in and you play by the rules, well, you're welcome to have a drink. But that's a problem. Because they want me to be the thought police. I'm not even thought police. It doesn't matter. How you, mate? How's it going, all right? And not even the thought police. It's like, even like them, I pretty much guarantee I disagree with the whole majority of what they say and think. I wouldn't stop them having a pint in there unless they got up on tables and started preaching about it or harassing people or canvassing people. Well, you're welcome to have a pint. I really don't mind. And it's encouraged if you did want to start talking about it with customers. Rational manner, which was what bars and public houses are probably originally all about. It's people coming together and having different views and opinions. It's just encouraged, unless, of course, you started preaching about it. But I just can't get my head around why they don't want that, and I'm the devil for allowing it. So the immediate aftermath of the GB News interview, what did I get? I had a letter from the council. I'd been in dialogue with them over an issue. They just cut the dialogue, sent me a court letter. They could have rung me or emailed me because we'd already had a dialogue. So as if they couldn't get hold of me, so they had to send a letter. Boom, court. Then a letter from licensing, which was so passive-aggressive and ridiculous. It was, these meetings have started back up again. You, as part of your license, are meant to engage in them. And if you don't engage in them, we're going to take your license away from you. I was just like, so I haven't done anything wrong or broken any rules. You give me like a pre-bollocking to warn me. Honestly, it was just like, what have I done? Nothing. Right, so what is the purpose of this letter? It's a threatening letter for something I haven't done wrong. And then lo and behold, the day after that letter, Environmental Health turned up to do an inspection on the business. She walked in, I saw the badge, I went, Environmental Health? She went, yeah. I went, been waiting for you lot to turn up. She went, oh, why is that? I said, well, I've been getting a bit of heat from the council recently. And I got another court battle coming up with them as well about when I helped them out during COVID. This is going to be a big one. I don't want to go into it now because it's a long one. I helped them out with their housing crisis during COVID. No, not during COVID, after COVID. That's the key thing, because they used COVID as an excuse in mid-2023 for not replying to me for 9 months. But I helped them out, they stabbed me in the back, it's all documented in black and white, and now they're arguing about it, so I'm fine, let's go to court, because they want me to give them money. Like, no chance. It's 300 quid. And then a day after my GB News interview, I had a email invite to an event, which is clearly from the Lefties who've got my business email, because you can get it online. Dan from Voice of Wales told me they do the same to him all the time. So it was an invite to, and I think this is like going to annoy me or take up my time or something. It's like, how many emails I delete a day from having a business? It was an invite to a African LGBTQ asylum seeker, something else, like support event or something like that. So they've done that, assuming that I hate all those things because I've been on GB News. Obviously, that's how their minds work. They make up their mind about you without even listening to what you have to say. So I thought, well, all right then, let's break that down, shall we? African. All right, well, there's a BAME charity just up the road from Copper last year, wanted to borrow, we do bike hire from the business, and they wanted to borrow some of the bikes over the course of the summer, to help train mostly ladies to ride a bike, because a lot of them have come from places where culturally they're not allowed to ride bikes. Baffling, isn't it, to think, but that's the culture some of these places are living in. So now that we're in the UK, they want to learn to ride a bike, of course. So I supported it. I think it was like free and subsidised on some days, so charge them a couple of quid to take all the bikes, right, every day of the week. Apparently, they're sending me things, can I get educated about it? Well, I'm directly helping BAME charities to train their African ladies. So there's that one. Asylum seekers. Well, again, this is a really interesting one. About a year and a half ago, I was the best man at an asylum seeker's wedding. I mean, best man, it was a civil service, so it was registry office. But you know what I mean, I'm taking it. It's another one of my best man joke board. I won't go into his background, not where he's from, but he's married to a girl that worked in my bar. She's an immigrant as well, so they can stick that one on the list for me hating immigrants, because I've had a lot of people from around the world. Africa as well, actually. A lad from Africa working in the bar. He's in uni here. So she used to be my manager, and we became friends, of course. Well, we were friends before she became my manager, became good friends with her husband-to-be, and also wrote him a reference letter of support for his case for when he's been living in Swansea, to say what type of character he is. So there's that one. LGBTQ, I mean, that one's just ridiculous, isn't it? Because who these days hasn't got friends in that community and like good friends and active in that community? I don't want to go into the old, I've got gay friends, because everyone has. And that's a throwaway statement these days, isn't it? But there's a bar opened up 2 doors up from my business, drag bar, a couple of months ago. So, of course, helped them, give them advice on the area and when they need to borrow little bits and bobs, as you do when you set them in a business and you forget, things go wrong. So these things they're just ridiculous. You see one part of you on an interview and that's it. They can label you as something and then start sending you invites to things that they've assumed that you are just like hell-bent against. So the loony left, there's more to come. There's been more like bullshit reviews about the business on there. But I'm not the average business owner where you just think you have to bow to everyone and go, oh yes, so, sir, no sir. I just tell them as it is. I think this review's malicious, basically stick it up your ass. So exciting times, especially with the loony left. Bring it on. I love a good scrap. 17 years in the Royal Marines doesn't generally mean you back down to a load of hippies. You're not even hippies. That's been derogatory to the hippies. Scruff bags, I'm going to call them. All right, definitely not going to back down to a load of scruff bags. Exciting times coming up. Stay involved with the channel, guys. I'm going to go do the obvious now, subscribe, whatever. The books are all on Amazon. Audiobooks coming soon. I've been grafting away on that. Sick of my own voice, as you probably are now as well. And some trips to the US coming up. So stay grizzly. Hello, Grizzlies. My name is Whiskey Wolf. I served 17 years as an elite Royal Marines commando. I'm a best-selling author of 4 books. I've led men into war 4 times, jumped out of planes, escaped a kidnapped attempt in Iraq, and got all sports shorts banned from the DVLA. I'm a survival expert in the Arctic, jungle, and desert. I've travelled the world lone wolf, lived homeless in the UK and the notorious migrant camp in Calais, France. I then crossed the English Channel in a 9-foot dinghy, unsupported, undetected, at night. I am founder and pioneer of Tramp Face, Salute Charity, and my small business that I dragged through the disaster of COVID. My wolf pack is made up of my half-Welsh, half-American daughter, my Hungarian Vizsla puppy, and our friends, the Grizzlies. That's you. Together, we are going to wolf the world. Because...
If you're going to be a bear, you may as well be a grizzly.